This is the first stop on our tour, and I think it's fitting to remind you that at Pesach, when we sit around the Seder table, we say, B'chol dor vador, chayav adam lirot et atzmo, ki'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim. In each and every generation, a person is obliged to see themselves ki'ilu, as if they came out of Mitzrayim. That was said thousands of years ago about a generation that witnessed an event. And today we start a journey that is different to the journey of Pesach. Today we start a Yeridah, going down. And we stand here today and we say, B'chol dor vador, in every generation, we have to see ourselves ki'ilu, as if we came out of these places.
There are stones that have walls, that have hearts of human beings, and there are hearts of human beings that are turned to stone. We stand at this point, I think it represents both. These walls speak to us. These walls have got heart. These walls have got heart and tears. As we go past them, you can feel it, you can imagine it. But we also remember that these walls were built because of peoples whose hearts were turned into stone.
Through the wires, ruins and fences, plucky, hungry and determined, I sneak through, dart like a cat.
Is there a tree in them? Not necessarily. Have they wide open spaces and freedom? Nothing of the sort. Desolate, lonely lots, surrounded by high walls at the backs of courtyards, or planted in the space between the houses of the wall, have been turned into parks.
In the Jewish tradition, the notion of a cemetery has different titles attached to it. The simplest being that of Beit Kvarot, a place where people are buried. By our coming here and paying respects, and by this whole pilgrimage that we're undertaking over this period of time, we are helping to consolidate and ensure the eternity of the Jewish people, and linking ourselves also with the souls that are buried here. And it's in a cemetery such as this that I think we'll properly set the tone for the rest of our trip.
My mother held me by my hand, and then someone raised a knife of parting, so that it should not strike me.
Beneath the surface of the colourful aesthetic, the truth still thrives. Are buried shards of candlesticks, holy parchment and last kisses. The roots hold dearly onto the dirt, never knowing how to let go.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He revives my spirit. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name.
נפשי ישובב, הנחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו.
אל מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה. במעלות קדושים טהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמות הקדושים הטהורים
Destroyed, as I said, 90% of all the
taken away. They killed her, and she is no more. Do you understand? She was, and she is no more.
There were those who smuggled messages, who smuggled dynamite inside bread loaves, inside matchboxes, inside corpses.
There were those who were shoemakers, who put nails into the boots of German soldiers. There were those who wrote poetry, who put on plays, who taught the children. There were those who fed each other.
Yet the story of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising is a very important one and a very heroic one. And as you know, the uprising began on April 19th, 1943, on the day of a Chag. Which Chag was it? Pesach, on the night of the first Seder.
The Germans ran twice from the ghetto. One of our companies held out for 40 minutes, and another for more than 6 hours.
Self-defense in the ghetto will have been a reality. Jewish armed resistance and revenge are facts.
And no one doubted how it would turn out. This isn't subject for studying military school, not the weapons, not the operations, not the tactics.
If there is a school to study the human spirit, then it should be a major subject. The really important things were inherent in the force shown by Jewish youth, after years of degradation, to rise up against their destroyer and determine what death they would choose, Treblinka or uprising.
We're now standing at the Umschlagplatz, and if at the Rappaport Memorial I said there were two sides, this very much depicts the image on the back side of that memorial.
Janusz Korczak was a Polish Jewish doctor, author and educator who believed that children should always be listened to and respected.
When the war broke out, despite offers from Polish friends to hide him on the Aryan side of the city, Korczak refused to abandon the children.
She stood there thinking about her mum. What oh what had Hitler done? The gates were like a prison cell. The orphanage priest was ringing the church bell. But she did not go, for she was a Jew. The children's teasing all was true.
The tears and bloodshed, that is what she missed out. All of this in just one bout. The earth had opened and swallowed a nation, God Almighty's prized creation.
Finally, they caught us too. Finally, we had come face to face with that from which we had been trying to escape for so many long months. From that which our relatives and friends and hundreds of thousands of unknown Jews had experienced. Our turn had come.
The train moved off amidst incessant shrieks, cries and rifle shots. We were leaving Warsaw. We were leaving Warsaw. Our infernal ride to the death camp had started.
Standing in this place, I remember my Nana's painful story and all that she lost here. However, I also remember her escape and her strength, which made it possible for me to stand here today. My Nana, Leah Gradman, was 9 years old when the war broke out. Her family and the townspeople were sent to the crowded, run-down Warsaw ghetto. Today my Nana lives in Melbourne, and just last week she was courageous enough to tell me her story. The lives of thousands rest and lie here, but we shall never...
Acheinu kol beis Yisroel, Acheinu kol beis Yisroel, Hanesuni batzara uvashivya, ha'omdim bein bayam uvein bayabasha. Acheinu kol beis Yisroel, Yisroel, Hanesunim batzara uvashivya, ha'omdim bein bayam uvein bayabasha.
There were 1,600 Jews, and you brought them to life for a moment when you sang. Imagine in that shul it was Simchat Torah. Imagine it was Yom Kippur. Imagine it was Rosh Hashanah, exactly as you know it, in Melbourne, in Sydney and in Perth. You brought Tikochin to life for that moment. And in the space of 7 hours, whatever you brought to life there completely died here.
And let the prayer be more than a prayer, more than a lament. Let it outcry, protest, and defiance. And above all, let it be an act of remembrance.
There is no more blood here. There used to be a lot.
red blood, proud blood. But the earth has swallowed it.
And once there was a garden, and a child, and a tree. And once there was a father, and a mother, and a dog.
My name is Natasha Rose Aaron. I'm named after my great-grandmother Rosie, who left her home in Lithuania before the war, leaving behind her parents and 17 brothers and sisters to begin a new life in South Africa. Out of her huge family, only 4 survived the Holocaust.
Will I always remember? Can I ever forget? Or is the sentence perpetual and conclusively set? Will the memories dwindle? Can the torment subside? Or is the cycle relentless as the flow of the tide?
Just hearing Natasha also struck a personal chord for me in terms of the family, the uncles and the aunts and the grandmother that I never saw, who also died in the forests in Lithuania. El male rachamim shochen bamromim hametzehem menucha nachona al kanfei ashchina b'malot kadoshim atorim.
But there's 3. And to the 1. And then go there, it's just the same material.
This is Treblinka. This is the place of death. This is one of the only places, a place like this that was created and established for one purpose only: to kill, for death. It's a factory of death in which it was perfected.
Ale jak będziesz mnie rozumiała, to będzie dobrze.
Będziesz mnie rozumiał. A rozumiała to ona.
No pięknie.
Girls, mash!
That's right.
Come on, mash!
That's it, we got it.
We're at the old cemetery of Lublin. As you can see, this is not the largest cemetery that you'll be.
Lublin is a vale of sorrow. No human beings are they who walk in the streets. All are phantoms, shadows haunting a world that is no longer in existence. Nobody speaks in Lublin. Nobody exchanges greetings. They have even ceased to weep.
The conflagration lasted 20 hours. The Jews of Lublin stood around weeping bitterly.
Men die like flies in the thoroughfares, their bodies strewn on the roadway.
We've just come out of Lublin, which was the centre of learning of Jewish life and one of the most vibrant communities that symbolise the strength, the dynamic nature of Eastern European Jewry.
כשהלב בוכה, רק אלוהים שומע, הכאב עולה מתוך הנשמה, אדם נופל לפני שהוא שוקע, בתפילה קטנה חותכת הדממה, שמע ישראל אלוהי, אתה כל יכול, נתת לי את חיי, נתת לי הכל, בעיניי דמעה, הלב בוכה בשקט, וכשהלב שותק, הנשמה זועקת, שמע ישראל אלוהי, עכשיו אני לבד, חזק אותי אלוהי, עושה שלא אבחר, הכאב גדול ואין לאן לברוח, עושה שיגמר כי לא נותר בי כוח, כשהלב בוכה הזמן עומד מלכת, האדם רואה את כל חייו פתאום, אל הלא נודע הוא לא רוצה ללכת, לאלוהיו קורא על סף תהום, שמע ישראל אלוהי, אתה כל יכול, נתת לי את חיי, נתת לי הכל, בעיניי דמעה, הלב בוכה בשקט, וכשהלב שותק, הנשמה זועקת, שמע ישראל אלוהי, עכשיו אני לבד, חזק אותי אלוהי, עשה שלא אבחר, הכאב גדול ואין לאן לברוח, עשה שיגמר כי לא נותר בי כוח.
We are the shoes. We are the last witnesses. We are shoes from grandchildren and grandfathers, from Prague, Paris, and Amsterdam.
Onward. What do they carry? They carry a cartload of shivering shoes.
We work until the moon provides the only light. It's been a month, maybe two, since I arrived here with all the other Jews.
A storm was, but now is no longer, and the sea is calm. By the light we will continue to walk. There's still a long way. The journey is yet to end.
Were they never taught what it was to feel? Quick, question the Polish. What position did their parents play?
A scream of someone that wanted to help but couldn't.
A scream of freedom.
You know, putting aside the relationships I've made and just the wonderful atmosphere of the whole trip, up until my Darnik, I hadn't really been moved. Apart from Taikachin Forest, I hadn't really been moved by the whole experience. I feel so Jewish at the moment. I mean, I want to wear my kippah all the time. I want people to know I'm Jewish. And you know, the singing in the synagogue at Taikachin, it's just amazing.
The Holocaust has always been a big part of my life. I mean, everyone at my school knows I'm Jewish, and I think, and especially since I've begun going to my Anglican school, which is of course a non-Jewish school, it's become especially apparent to me the importance of educating non-Jewish students, or not necessarily students, non-Jewish people in general, on the events of the Holocaust.
How do we fulfill the commandment of today, which is Yom HaShoah? Today is a different day from any other day that we've experienced on this trip. Today is a day where we are commanded to remember Zachor. We are commanded to remember the Holocaust. Every survivor who has gone through the Holocaust has symbolically walked through those gates over there. For Jews, this place has come to symbolize the entire experience of the Shoah, the entire experience of the Holocaust.
This is my sister Martha. This is Mr. Bolter's sister, Mr. Bolter from Melbourne, And this is myself. Why I don't look like myself, I was very, very sick with typhoid and dysentery. And so I really looked like an old woman. As soon as the Poles took this photo of us on liberation, they falsified it and put Polski on it. Most of them have been identified, and of course there were Jewish children.
Your number is called. Almost late because one person is not present. 15 minutes later, the body is dragged into case. Even the dead must recall.
Through the shadows, pictures, broken bones, skin so torn, who am I to win?
We stand in memory of those who perished. We stand on behalf of those who, like ourselves, were born into families of Holocaust survivors. And here we stand tall and proud.
Without a kiss, without a hug, without the chance to cry. His father was stolen from him in front of his eyes, and he never got to say goodbye.
How could such cruelty be ignored? How could the world just sit back and watch?
The dogs in uniform marching to the murderer's grave, the beat the dance no more.
We took the kids to the Warsaw ghetto. For them that was a difficult thing because all they saw were the bricks and it was hard for them to imagine actually what they were seeing. So we asked them to close their eyes and then to open it and to imagine what it would be like as if they were there.
I think it's an amazing experience and I'm having an amazing time. And
I think it's amazing. I think it's the most amazing experience marching with so many other kids from all over the world and showing our solidarity towards Israel, and it's just...
Yeah, something that culminates all the stuff that we've been feeling and wanting to express, and now we're all standing together.
Taking on the memory, taking it upon ourselves to pass on the stories of the generation that's going to die out soon, and that's our responsibility, and that's why we're marching.
Marching with 7,000 people from around the world, meeting all new people, incredible.
million Jewish here in Auschwitz and Birkenau, and 6 million in all the camps. Don't even try to imagine how 6 million people died here, because it couldn't be understandable. Today, when more and more denial of the Holocaust from all over the world are speaking louder and louder, we decided that next year, we, the participants, citizens of the world, Jews and non-Jews alike, 18,000 people will march here from Auschwitz to Birkenau, and we will say, we are here, never again, never again, never again.
In a few days, we will all return to our homes. We, Jewish youth from around the world, from Israel and from the diaspora, invite you to perpetuate the legacy of Janusz Korczak, a legacy of love for all humanity. We pledge to fight against anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial and commit ourselves to the strengthening of the State of Israel. We pledge to keep alive and to honour the memory of the multitudes who perished in the Holocaust. We pledge to build a world of understanding and tolerance for every religion, gender and race. We pledge to build a better world for the future and to actively participate in the strengthening of the Jewish way of life. Am Yisrael Chai.
Your Jewish children and to your Jewish grandchildren. And then you will derive the same nachas. May you be blessed with the same nachas from your Jewish children and grandchildren as we have from all of you.
In the darkness, a shrouded miracle saved you from the madness not far away. And that German soldier who liked you and gave you extra food, an easier job, a miracle of kindness amidst the mayhem. And me, Zayda, am I your miracle too? Did you ever think that your grandson will be telling your stories of miracles on this very ground of miracles and madness?
Never shall I forget those flames, which consumed my faith forever.
Listen to the wind, and listen to the sky. We are here to pray, as in a cemetery.
Gave you a number. You said you didn't need a name. You knew you were an artist. They were made out of stone. What could you carve from them?
In a place filled with darkness, of grey and of black, we are here and we're bringing life back.
Camp documents show that in 6 weeks, from December 1944 to January,
you're young. You have to save yourself. Those were the last words my mother had ever spoken to me. That was taken from my grandmother's testimony.
In fact, if things had gone according to plan, I would not even exist. My parents were born on Rhodes Island, one of the most picturesque of the Greek islands. The Jewish community numbered 5,000. It was so rich in tradition that it was dubbed Little
I thought I had closure yesterday at Medanic, but today wasn't my closure. It's definitely been a rough day, but I don't think it can be better from here.
Crash of the heavens, the prayer of man.
Ale dzień dobry, jak ty się nazywasz? Agnieszka. Agnieszka.
Hi. Hi, nice to meet you.
You read English?
I mean, your English is better than our Polish, so well done.
Do you speak English well?
Yeah, pretty, I guess so.
Where did you learn it from?
No, but the school is too small for so many students.
It is just a school or
No, it's just one building.
Now we want to make some symbolic thing, because today we want to plant the new and tree of life.
Okay, that's cool.
There's been a bad past, but it's it's up to us, the younger generations, to make it all better. And
to you, we're very glad to see you here in our country, especially in our school. It's a secondary school, number 8.
I just wanted to say thank you very much for having us here. It's fantastic, and just to see you all having so much fun, it's really great. I want to present this to one of your students, if possible, to say thank you for having us. It's a koala, one of our little animals.
It's for you. It's got a cap, Krakow cap.
Thank you very much.
Tele, Beli Kwiatami, Ushisteke, Dziękuję. We have a book, it's Emmanuel's book with photographs. We have a mug for your principal. We have a boomerang. And we have an envelope filled with our love.
And we'll then move back a few centuries to Shavuot. And yet, if you follow this notion of Zachor, to actively remember, it all falls into place. It all makes sense.
His family, except for one brother, was not as lucky and perished. Zadokar left Krakow, not knowing what was to happen to him. And he came back, not truly knowing what did.
It is a tree of life for those who hold it, and that tree that you will see grown into the cemetery and the gravestones where the Ramah
Because I say you can't study any page of the Shulchan Aruch without studying the Ramah, and that's And so that's what's just amazing about this place. It just brings to life, you know, the Judaism what one is studying in the books. That these were people who, you know, who lived and learned right here.
Where I lived. I was born here. I went to a cheder from here. I went to, which was like a Jewish kindergarten.
I wish I couldn't see you here, Grandpa. A picture of your suffering in my head. The terrible things that happened. All the things that you said. But I'll bet when they hurt you, Grandpa, they didn't half expect to see me. Walking these streets in your name. As a Jew that is proud and free.
An ordinary pharmacy situated on the very border of the ghetto. An ordinary pharmacy owned by a Pole, Tadeusz Penkiewicz.
It was in this ordinary pharmacy that extraordinary acts of bravery and
You
compassion.
enchanted our spirits with humanist phrases. You taught us to worship the glory of genius. We
were dragged through the city streets, carrying the possessions to the new habitations. The rush was incredible because the time was short and the desire to obtain suitable apartments was urgent.
Right. People fainted from exhaustion. Some carried their belongings on pushcarts alone, often from remote streets.
The last, the very last, so richly, brightly, dazzling yellow. Perhaps if the sun's tears would sing against a white stone. Such.
The dandelions called to me, and the white chestnut branches in the court. Only I never saw another man.
Farewell, my Krakow, so I wish you well. The wagon's waiting at my house. The wild enemy drives me out, as one drives out a stray dog, without mercy, far away.
My father's cold gravestone is wet with them, and my grandfather's gravestone I cannot find at all.
Had I been in their place, what would I have done?
They are the righteous men of Sodom, thanks to whom the world was not destroyed. They,
you onlookers, whose eyes watch the killing, as one feels a stare at one's back, you feel
a family of 6 children, 2 parents, aunts, uncles and cousins. She was the only survivor.
Here, which was initially a cemetery, a Jewish cemetery, the gravestones, the tombstones that we'd passed through were pulled down, and the labour camp was built here. On top of that, you had the sadism of a particular individual.
One of the more horrific things that occurred in Plaszow was the day the children were deported, never to return.
This will be her first party. What fun. 6 is a wonderful age.
I stare at my children as they sit there lethargically. They used to play with such abandon.
When I think of all my ancestors whose lives were taken, my eyes fill with tears and I wonder what they were thinking.
Considers as having saved the entire universe.
My grandfather, Stephen Crewlis, was one of the determined, fortunate and courageous survivors of the Holocaust. At the tender age of 12, he found out that not only was he adopted, but his real parents were Jewish.
He went through various labour camps, and at the age of 13, after the death of his mother, he was entirely alone in the cruel world. He was sent to Plaszow, where he cheated death after being shot into a mass grave and managing to crawl out, despite the 2 bullets in his leg.
It is only now, at the end of our journey, as I stand at the site where my Zeta was held for a year, before moving on to Mauthausen where he was liberated, that I feel I may have found the answer that I was craving for all this time.
All over the world we have gathered, young and old, to commemorate, bond and renew. And we marched, and we will remember.
בקצב זוז מצד לצד. הנה דג נחש, מזמינים אתכם לזוז, זוז, זוז, יו, יו. אתה עלה לי, לא, לא, מה קרה חמוד? לא מתאים לך ללוז שאני על הבמה? אתה לא בריכוז, שיקור מהבוז, לא מזיז את העכוז. מתחילים בחורות שמביאות באינטוז, הן תמיד מסרבות, אתה תמיד שבוז. אולי הגיע הזמן שתזוז, תזוז, תזוז.
בבקשה מכם לספור עד 3 וכולנו ביחד בואו גם את הראש כי זה כל העניין בעצם ואני לא הייתי כאן בעצם אם לא הייתה לי הפלטפורמה לדבר על הדברים לדחוף מתחת לסבבה גם איזה כמה מסרים ממשיך מורשת ארוכה מלא באמונה שמתוך שלא לשמה תבואו לשמה ואם הטוסיק יזוז לכם לפה ולשם זה לא סתם אלא גם כיף דבר מחוקה עושה גבול את הגבול תגידו ולחשוש ובסוף כאן שעלה יזוז כאן גם הראש
The cocktail was amazing and uplifting experience. We got to pray there and touch it, and it's like 12:15 at night, and it was just amazing to come here to experience it. I'm never going to regret this moment ever. We're in Israel, Eretz Israel.
And it was I think it was one of the most spiritual moments of the trip. It was amazing. Really good.
Unbelievable.
And this is the best present.
Really comforting to finally be here.
איך שהלב נפתח חובק את העולם ובקריאת עולם נשאיר לאהבה אם הוא הכל אפשר God, well, get out.
With Israeli gym or something.
Over here, you're gonna be a swamp. One big swamp. Hey. La 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 la.
This is Israel. This is wonderful.
up to a large degree of Australian soldiers, and many Australian soldiers gave up their lives in this very place. So it is very appropriate that we commemorate Anzac Day and celebrate our role and our lives as Australians at this place.
Shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we shall remember them.
שמונה עלינו כמו ילדים, שמונה ואל תעזור. תן לנו אור ושמחת נעורים, תן לנו כוח עוד ועוד. ואל תעזור.
Come with me, let me show you what it's like at 4 o'clock in the morning. Morning boys, it's Anthony, Adam and Adam. Come on fellas, the mountain waits. You awake? Who's that, Anthony, Adam or Adam? Adam, stay awake. Open the door. Can you open the door for me? Girlies, you awake? Come on, I want to make sure the light's open. Wake up. See ya.
No more relevant day than Yom HaZikaron for the soldiers of Israel and the eve of Yom HaTzmaut to ponder on a difference that is so crucial that it puts the whole notion of moving from Poland to Israel in the course of our travels, from Shoah to Tkuma, from destruction to revival in a different context. And the difference clearly is this. When soldiers come up here, upon becoming fully fledged Israeli soldiers, they say the critical words that mirror the word of Yizkor that we said in Poland. They say the words, Masada lo tipol. Masada will never fall again. Jews will never again be subjected to a situation where they have to make a choice of not life or death, but death or death, and how they're going to die. And the
reason
March of the Living representatives from Australia and Canada, honorable guests. This evening, we declare the ending of Remembrance Day, a day to commemorate the IDF's fallen soldiers and those wounded by hostile acts. We unite and commemorate those who sacrificed their lives for their country.
I had a box of coloured pencils, shining, pleasant and beautiful. I had a box of coloured pencils, some warm colours, some cold colours. I did not have blood red for the wounded.
And to tears, I'll save him while my life endures.
Land of the Jewish people. May Israel continue to have the strength and will to absorb Jews from around the world, and with worldwide support, to overcome the obstacles to the successful klita of each and every Jew who comes to live here.
Israel is alive. Moira the boy say, Oda vinu chai. Listen everybody, Israel is alive. Oda vinu chai, ki onam Israel chai. Oda vinu chai, Oda vinu chai. Oda vinu, Oda vinu, Oda vinu chai. Oda vinu chai, Oda vinu chai. Oda vinu, Oda vinu, Oda vinu chai. Oda vinu chai, Oda vinu chai. Oda vinu, Oda vinu, Oda vinu chai.
Bonjour, moi c'est Jacques Chély, je représente Hors Marseille en France. Et pipi I'm Israel Chai!
G'day, I'm Adina from Perth, Australia. I'm Israel Chai!
Bonsoir, je m'appelle Benjamin Assa, je viens du Canada de Marseille. Pour tous les Marseillais, pipi! Buenas noches, soy Jaime Mayo de Panama!
G'day, my name's Shireen, I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I'm Israel Chai! Abraham Hirson, Laset Etzvara.
And you have to understand, you are our ambassadors, each one in his state. When you will come to your community, please tell them what you saw in Poland, tell them what you saw in Auschwitz, because all of us together, we are the strongest nation in the world. Am Israel Chai. Am Israel, Am Israel, Am Israel Chai. Am Israel, Am Israel, Am Israel.
We stand here representing the third generation. We are here to remember and to ensure that our ancestors' stories will never be forgotten. It is our responsibility, for we are a unique generation. We are probably the last generation that will have physical and verbal contact with Holocaust survivors. However, we are certainly not the last generation, but actually one of the first to transmit their memories. Their memories shall forever retain existence.
Acheinu kol beis Yisroel, Acheinu kol beis Yisroel, Hanesuni Batzara uvashivya, Ha'imdim bein bayam uvein bayabasha. Acheinu kol beis Yisroel, Yisrael, Hanesunim Batzara uvashivya, Oimdim bein bayam uvein bayabasha. Shibu ligiula hashta bagala, who is man called?